Gaming Capsules.
Shantae and the Seven Sirens is the latest entry in WayForward's belly dancing action series. In many ways, this is a return to form, trying to offer an experience that would appeal to longtime fans of the series. Does it succeed in recapturing the half-genie magic of Shantae and the Pirate's Curse? And is it a good entry point for anyone unfamiliar with the world of Shantae? Let's take a look at Shantae and the Seven Sirens. The first thing that will jump at you as soon as you put the title is that there is now an opening animation. It was done by Studio Trigger, the same Japanese animation studio responsible for Kill la Kill, and it looks fantastic. It does a good job at setting the game up as a 2D visual treat, and it feels like a promo pilot to what a Shantae animated series or movie could look like.
This place is a paradise! We get to stay here for a whole week! Can you believe it?
Besides that intro, players are treated to short animated sequences during certain key events and before boss battles. While they are not animated by the same studio and look quite different, they are a very welcome addition to the series.
The sooner we check in, the sooner we can relax.
The game itself brings back the two-dimensional high-definition look of Half-Genie Hero, although backgrounds are now fully 2D instead of being made out of 3D models. While it makes the game look a bit less impressive in screenshots, the backgrounds are actually quite detailed, and there's some really nice touches, such as seeing one of the Sirens observing Shantae throughout the game. This flatter look also makes 2D platforming much easier to gauge, making everything feel more precise than in the previous title. Unlike previous Shantae games, in which players traverse widely different areas such as deserts, forests, and grass fields, the world of Seven Sirens is contained within an island surface and an underground submerged city, which is made up of tunnels and caves. While this might sound artistically restrictive, every area has its own distinct color scheme and theme, and they still manage to throw in variety and a couple of surprises. At times, it feels almost alien, which is fitting since this game takes place in an unfamiliar territory for Shantae. The soundtrack also falls in line with this. For the first time, the music for a Shantae game was not provided by longtime series composer Jake Kaufman. So while the soundtrack to Seven Sirens features a couple of familiar themes and jingles, it sounds different, with a bigger emphasis on chiptune for its playful tracks and a lot of very moody ambient music for some of the underground areas. Chiptune music might not be everyone's cup of tea, but I found myself head bopping to a couple of tracks, so I can't really complain. Shantae and the Seven Sirens maintains WayForward's now popular emphasis on comedy. It's one of those games where I find myself wanting to talk to every single person in town whenever something big happens, just so that I never miss any of the jokes. The dialogue tends to take jabs at the series itself, obsessive gamers, and collectors. It even makes fun of some ridiculous video game tropes, and it's all in good fun. As far as lore building goes, fans should be happy to know that it follows some of the threads set up by Pirate's Curse, and it finally shines a big spotlight on both the genies and half-genies. This is another welcome change when compared to the previous title, as the previous Shantae game served as a soft reboot to the series. All of the returning cast gets their own moment to shine within the title, with particular love given to a certain fan-favorite zombie girl. The new characters are all pretty interesting and lovable, although I'll admit I wanted to see even more of the half-genies and sirens. Despite the title of the game mentioning the Seven Sirens, most of them did not get a whole lot of presentation outside of their boss battles. I really loved what was there and would have loved to see even more. Since it takes place in a brand new location, and most terms get enough explanation and exposure, newcomers shouldn't feel lost if this is their first time playing a Shantae game. The most important thing to know about Seven Sirens is that it takes place within one big interconnected world. In fact, this is actually the biggest world the series has seen so far, made up of 3 general areas. First, we have a very straightforward land surface, similar to the original Game Boy Color Shantae's overworld, mainly connecting villages to one another in a straight line, with a bit of platforming in between. Then, we have a giant underground maze, connected to various parts of the surface, where you'll be spending most of your time exploring. This is made up of various interconnected areas that go deeper and deeper. Finally, we have the traditional Shantae dungeons that function as self-contained mazes, with puzzle solving, new world traversing skills to find, and a boss battle against one of the sirens at the end. To make the traversal easy to manage, there's a very convenient warp system that lets Shantae quickly teleport from one end of the maze to another. It also features one of the best map systems in the series, which does a great job at showing what areas of the maps have been visited and which entrances have not been accessed yet. If I have one complaint concerning the map, is that there's no way to make annotations, and there's many important things which are not tracked by it, meaning that players need to either write down notes elsewhere, rely on their memory, or go through the world many times to make sure that they don't miss anything. While this wasn't a big problem for me, it does make you work a little if you plan to 100% the game. One of the biggest changes to the series is how transformations function now. Shantae's defining power is her ability to transform into various animals, to help her access areas that she normally should not be able to. In previous games, this required stopping, performing a dance to transform into an animal so you could do something, and then turn back into her regular half-genie form when you were done. In some cases, you would need to perform this many times just to get through small segments, and it could honestly get a bit tedious. They completely revamped the system, so now Shantae will instantly transform into an animal with a simple button press. For example, dashing on the ground or mid-air will have her transform into the new Dash Newt form, which can also automatically cling to walls and climb up or down. These forms are new to the series, which is another refreshing change, and they allow for some really unique ways of traversal, such as the Bunker Tortoise's spin, which can be used to quickly move forward, and demands a bit of careful controlling as it can bounce against walls or spin down bottomless pits. Dancing also makes a radical change. It's still present, but it is now used to uncover secrets. For example, one of the dances will reveal invisible objects and paths, while another will activate machinery and fry enemies with electricity. These dances are quick to perform and provide many opportunities for uncovering hidden objects. In fact, most rooms in the game have some sort of secret that can be accessed with these dances. Not to mention that enemies can sometimes have secret ways of being defeated with these dances as well. It overall makes the exploration surprisingly engaging, as it often rewards experimenting with the systems. I'm not sure how fun it would be to actually watch these dances done constantly on a streamed playthrough, but it feels really good to do them in-game. Speaking of engaging, another new big addition to the game, which is also entirely optional, is the monster card system. If you play Castlevania Area of Sorrow or Castlevania Dawn of Sorrow, the premise is very similar. When defeated, every enemy has a random chance to drop its monster card. These cards can be equipped to provide Shantae with augmentations, such as making specific moves stronger, certain animal transformations faster, increase certain defense stats, etc. Much like in the previously mentioned Castlevania titles, this personally led me to obsess about collecting cards, finding rooms with entrances near specific monsters, so that I could go back and forth and grind until the card would drop. Unlike Castlevania, however, this is entirely optional, as it doesn't count toward the 100% completion rate and is not needed to reach the end of the game. I'll admit to not having swapped cards too often on my playthrough so far, as certain cards fit my own personal playstyle better than others. But it should be interesting to see just how these will play into speedruns of the game. The Siren battles work a bit differently from previous Shantae games as well. While they are visually impressive, as they tend to take up a good portion of the screen and have amusing animations, they all have a puzzle to solve while fighting. The Water Lily Siren fight, for example, requires pushing her towards the sunlight to be able to inflict damage. The game brings back speedrun win conditions, and I found myself wanting to play it all over again just to get a better clear time right after my first completion. It's the kind of game you'll probably want to revisit. A first playthrough takes roughly about 10 hours, with 12 to 15 hours to get to 100% completion rate. The challenge of the game is fair and very welcoming to casual gamers, though it can become tough when bypassing all of the optional power-ups and items. There's even an unlockable second game mode, which changes Shantae's looks and provides her with even less defense, forcing players to be a bit more mindful in how they fight their enemies. Overall, Shantae and the Seven Sirens is easily one of the strongest entries in the series. I hope to see the next Shantae games take on a similar formula, bringing back fusion transformation and dances, and possibly even expand on the card system. If you enjoyed Pirate's Curse, you certainly owe it to yourself to give it a try, as it feels like a direct continuation of that title. If you never played Shantae, but a comical Metroid or 2D Zelda-like game sounds appealing, then this game does have quite a lot to offer. It's currently available digitally on the Nintendo Switch, PlayStation 4, Xbox One, PC, and iOS devices. A physical copy is currently available for pre-order for a limited time at Limited Run Games. As for myself, I just went through the PlayStation 4 version for my review, but I already have the physical copy on pre-order. Let's take a look at it together once I actually get my hands on it. So, what do you think of this latest Shantae entry? Do you like the more Metroidvania approach of the series, or would you like to see it go back to the linear formula seen in Half Genie Hero? If you played the game already, let me know what you thought of it in the comment section below. If you wish to know more, we have more Shantae content on the channel, including a general guide to the series' history and lore. If you like what you see, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe buttons. As always, feel free to reach me in the comment section or Twitter for any questions or suggestions. Have a great rest of your day, and until next time.